Good evening, grinders. Sorry, Keith. I had to after this main slate. I had to get it all out of my system. I did this. It was a horrible classic main slate. So I figured just like get it all out in the open right in the beginning. Uh, Welcome to Sunday Showdown Live here on Rotogrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender HD. Join with me for normal on Saturdays, on Sundays. I'm filling in for Britt, I guess. We're switching off or whatever. It's Keith Eister, Eyes 819 DFS, whatever. He just trolls you. He just lurks on Twitter, so it's not like he even tweets anything. So Keith, we're trying to keep up like the cheery mood for this show, but you're probably in the same boat that I am. That hopefully I win Showdown to get even.
Yeah, 4 total snaps out of David Johnson and Justin Jackson is not going to get it done. So I'm definitely in the same boat.
Right, especially with injuries, and then if you play GPPs, if you faded Cook, you're dead. If you faded Lockett over Metcalf, of course you lost that one, right? If you played Lockett over Metcalf, just a normal classic slate. But we got an interesting showdown. I think this is one of the tougher showdown slates, primarily because number one, getting unique is going to be somewhat difficult. Because I don't think there's many like cheapo options here. And then we have two teams that have the ability to spread the ball around.
Yep.
Right? So I mean, I think the key to the slate is the two receivers that we haven't seen on each side. We have Michael Thomas returning from disciplinary action / injury, and then Antonio Brown playing his first game with the Buccaneers, and we don't know. They 10 to 35 snaps, but I mean, Christian McCaffrey was apparently going to be limited, and that didn't happen. And Aaron Jones was going to be limited in the last showdown, and that didn't happen. So who knows who to trust? But would you consider that we have Antonio Brown on DraftKings at 7,400, Michael Thomas at 9,800? If we assume that everything goes back to normal, you'd have to think that Michael Thomas at 9,800 seems to be more of the value than to play Antonio Brown at 7,400 with his his upside. It's not necessarily like, is he going to be limited? It's more like, well, you got Evans and Godwin and Gronk. You got like the Buccaneers just have a lot of players.
Yeah, definitely. Thomas is the preference for me for sure. Just not as much talent on his team. I mean, obviously Kamaro's going to get plenty of work, but the secondary receivers for the Saints just aren't near what the Bucs have. So, Thomas is my highest owned captain. I think the likeliest to score the best. Going to use a ton of Kamara too.
Right, but I mean, most people are going to use those players. I mean, that's why like getting unique is going to be tough. I think what happens with Brown. So let's talk about the Buccaneers. I think the Saints are back to like normal strength. So it kind of like they have their normal roster, what they would normally have. You have to judge whether or not Michael Thomas is just going to slot back in his role because Sanders is back. You still have Traquan there. All those secondary guys kind of get pushed out the window because Cook's there, Kamara and Murray are there. I mean, it's the New Orleans Saints offense. But how do you think that Antonio Brown, his playing time, who is he going to affect more? Because we have Godwin coming back, and to me, Godwin is the underpriced receiver on the Bucs. But it just matters of like how much action and how much target share is Antonio Brown going to see? Do you think that it affects Godwin? Does it affect Evans? Does it affect no one?
It's going to be tough. The answer, we just don't know. I mean, it affects Scotty Miller more than either of the top two guys, I think. I don't know if they plan on using Brown out of the slot or if they're going to put Godwin back in the slot or how that's going to work. So, I mean, we're basically guessing at this point. But, I think Evans is probably the one I'm fading. And I think Godwin can still run out of the slot, and that would be the preferred targets for Brady, I think.
And then we have Gronk. I don't think his role changes much. And then we
No.
also have the two running backs, and I mean they're priced close to each other now. Fournette's 6,800, Gronkowski, Ronald Jones is 6,600, and I mean you'd have to figure that just like in the last game, Fournette has more PPR upside, and Ronald Jones has more like touchdown equity. But you know, this could be a game where the running back touches shift dramatically. It could be they get sick of Ronald Jones, and Fournette's just going to get 70% of the work, 75% of the work. Or it could be this type of thing like it was last game, where Ronald Jones is the default running back until he fumbles the ball, and then Fournette
And
comes
then
in.
he doesn't play. Yeah.
Right.
So it's just another situation where, I mean, it looks to me like Fournette is starting to take over the lead of the backfield. So I think Fournette's the play there. If Jones fumbles, that's definitely going to be the case, as we saw last week. So, yeah, I like Fournette over Jones.
And then on the Saints side, I mean, Kamara and Thomas are like the clear options there, and I think that if you're going to build a lineup as if this is going to be a competitive game, like not an onslaught type of lineup, like I don't see building a lineup without at least one of them. Maybe you don't build with both because they're both going to be high owned,
Yeah.
but I unless you're building a lineup where the Saints just completely crap the bed, like I can't see a lineup that doesn't include Kamara or Thomas in it.
Yeah, they're just too high volume. I mean, I agree. It's tough to play both of them because of their price tags, but I think you definitely need one at least.
And then too bad, Keith. We've done these Saints showdowns before, right?
Uh-huh.
We've done multiple of these Saints showdowns before. This it seems like we're always when the Saints are on showdown. Why
Yep.
did they have to price Taysom Hill up to 6,000? Well, because he's not going to be owned now. Like I want Taysom
Right.
Hill at Latavius Murray's salary, so
Yeah.
some people will play him for yeah he'll get a touchdown and still not be in the optimal lineup. So way to go. So like this don't play Taysom Hill at 6,000, right? I mean,
No. Yeah. No, I'd much rather play Murray for almost $4,000 less. So I think Latavius Murray is the one cheap guy that I'm going to jam in there today.
and especially because we've seen Murray getting on average getting what 10 touches a game, something like
Yep.
eight rushes, two receptions. I mean, look down at that range. Underneath Murray, we got like Brait, Deontay Harris, Johnson, Vaughn, Hill, McCoy. We got people that, like, those are the type of people that you look on the field and go, I hope they get snaps and maybe they get one or two catches and hopefully it's a touchdown and I get 8 points for their, nothing salary. But Latavius Murray actually has, like, he has outs to a double digit game much more than all these other players.
Yeah, I mean he has legitimate 2 touchdown upside. We've seen him do it several times in a game before where he runs into from within the 5. So definitely in his range of outcomes.
Right. Keith Evans in chat says they were thinking about DK maybe thought that Breeze wasn't going to play, and that Taysom Hill would be the starting quarter. I didn't think they would put him as the starting quarterback anyway. But I mean, I can
Yeah.
understand why DK would do that. But if you're in chat, feel free to hit the thumbs up button. Right, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit yourself in the head. You can do whatever you want. Just move the mouse around, click around. Maybe you'll pause the video and then unpause it. I don't know. Maybe that does something for us. And feel free to put in your questions in chat. We are looking, but we'll continue to talk about this slate. So if Thomas is back and all of them are back for the Saints, don't you? Three wide receiver sets would have Traquan in the slot. Would that be correct? Or you could go with
I
Traquan
could
in the
see I could see Sanders in the slot.
really? Then who would
Over.
and Traquan out wide?
Yeah, I think so. I think Michael Thomas being back actually helps Sanders. He's never been a lead wide receiver throughout his career. I think with the most of the attention going to Thomas, I like I like Sanders today.
But you would
I,
play so would it be the type of thing that you play Sanders over Thomas? Like in a lineup that doesn't have Thomas, you play Sanders because if you're gonna get 90 yards, 6 receptions, a touchdown, like that directly comes out of like Thomas, and probably Kamara as well.
Kamara. Yeah, yeah. So I would definitely play him over one of them, but I think you can still use the other one. I mean, there's certainly a route where Thomas and Sanders both get there, but that probably means that Kamara does not.
And you probably could say the same thing with Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
That if you're going to play a lineup, if you're not going to play much of Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller at 4,800. I mean, you would think that in 3 wide receiver sets, that if Brown's not there, it's going to be Scotty Miller.
right. Agree.
So looking at captain choices for DraftKings, for the highest, okay, this is okay. Let's now we start splitting between the types of contests that me and you typically play, or the styles. Based on our Eric Beimfor's Showdown Slate IQ, which is a premium product. So sign up rotogrinders.com/premium, and it's you get everything. You get all core 4 sports and everything. We have all the Showdown Slate IQ, and based on the roster construction, if you compare to all similar slates similar to this, and these are tend to be really good in the past this season. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it gives you the percentages. So,
Yep.
as far as leverage, meaning that what top 0.1% of lineups have more so than the field that is a winning lineup, doesn't mean it's going to be the winning lineup, but more often than what it's going to be rostered, it's actually a 2-4 lineup. A 2-4 meaning 2 from the winner, 4 from the loser. That doesn't mean the favorite or that it's whoever wins the game. So don't think of it as, well, the Buccaneers 2, Saints 4, because what happens if the Saints win? Then it would be the other way around. And heavily, I mean, I see these slate IQs a lot of times. It's heavily on wide receiver 1. I mean, so much so that, I mean, a lot of people, wide receiver 1 is one of the most often captained, position. Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin, right? If you consider Chris Godwin to be the
Yeah, I was going
to
to say, is Evans or Godwin the number one?
Right.
That's, I mean, Evans is priced like it, so I think that for the purposes of that, it would be claiming Evans as the number 1 wide receiver for the Bucs.
Well, I mean, unless you're considering wide receiver 1 is the one that gets the most targets or the most, right? That's why this isn't like gospel. You look at this and go, well, wide receiver 1 is 68% and wide receiver 2 is 2%. Like who's the guy? We know for the Saints it's Thomas. So although that wide receiver 1 is captained on these types of slates, like the third most, RB1, which would be like Kamara, QB1, which would be Brady or Breeze, and then wide receiver 1. I mean, this would lead you to a 4-2 build where I guess maybe would you be on the Saints side? I mean, if you were to build a 2-4 lineup, would it be that because then you're not playing, like, for instance, if you're playing Thomas in the captain, you're probably playing Breeze in the flex,
Right.
And then you won't play anyone else and then $4, or would it be Thomas in the captain, Breeze, 2 other Saints, and then 2 Buccaneers? Because those 2 other Saints could be the defense and the kicker. Like, you don't think in terms of the players. So I'm just trying to look at this slate IQ going like, what exactly would that construction look like? And Keith, is this the type of construction that you're aiming to lean towards?
So I do like Thomas as my primary captain, and I will pair Breeze with him. So that probably leaves me underweight on Kamara. And then I think with the Bucs, they spread it out even more than the Saints do. So I like going 2 Saints and 4 Bucs. And I mean, I'm going to build it the same way regardless of who wins. I think it's a really close game that goes over the 50-point total. And I think that you can just, if you get the Bucs in there and they're spreading the ball around, they get there on volume, and then Thomas is the highest scorer of all of them, just based on his volume. So I'm fading Kamara, I guess, for slightly. I'm still going to play Kamara, but fading him slightly compared to Thomas.
Right. I actually think the opposite. Don't you think that there's a situation where you see Brady, he spreads the ball around, right? So you're right. He'll spread the ball around to more receivers, but that also means that the receivers individually may have lower ceilings. So I'm looking at like a 4-2, like when I'm playing the Saints and I'm playing Brady and Godwin, and that's it. Because like Antonio Brown will have 8 points. Scotty Miller will have 8 points. Evans will have 8. Like all these guys, like there may be one that has above everyone. Gronk could be that guy. Who knows? I mean, it could be one of those guys gets the touchdowns per se, and then he spreads the ball around to 11 different. Fournette catches it out of the backfield. Ronald Jones is out of the backfield. Cameron Brake gets a pass. Like I think there's more options to play on the Saints for their. It's more of a price play. It's more of like once you play like Thomas, Kamar, one of the two. Like Sanders is cheaper than Godwin and Brown and Evans and all those guys, and then you obviously got the kickers and the defenses. And we see on this slate that we have the Bucks defense is 4,600, but the Saints is 3,000. Will Lutz is 4,000. Suckup is 4,200. And you also, are you gonna call me crazy? I don't think it's crazy to have Latavius Murray in the captain.
No, I don't either. If there's 3 touchdowns in the game and he has 2 of them, you're going to want him there.
And especially he's so cheap. If he gets 2 touchdowns, like you're able to fit everyone else that you could that would possibly count, I guess. So like people may shy away from it, but I think he has a role enough. And also you could play him with a lot of people probably are going to make a rule only one of Kamara and Murray, but I think Murray's cheap enough that you could play them together.
Yep, I totally agree. I will make a rule with Fournette and Jones to only play one because they're both in that mid-price range. With Murray, I mean, if he scores a touchdown, he's more than likely going to be on the optimal lineup because of his price.
Right, and doesn't necessarily mean he's the top price captain or anything, but like I just like on this bottom range, like Murray, Braid, like all these, I mean, I don't even know how. I mean, some of these guys, I don't even know how you roster. Callaway coming off an injury. Now that everyone's back, maybe. Josh Hill is a second tight end. Tanner Hudson is a third tight end. A Michael Burton troll touchdown. I mean, like, it's very hard to see. To me, it's very hard to see many players outside of Latavius Murray that outscore the defenses and the kickers.
Yep, I agree. So I'll be playing way over the field on Murray. We've got him projected for 22%. I think he's going to come in a little higher than that, and he'll be in at least half my lineups. And then I'm going to be heavy on the kickers too. Right.
And then on your expert survey, you noted that you side with Breeze over Brady as far as a quarterback. Is that let me guess, is that due because Breeze is almost definitely going to be much lower owned?
That's part of it. I don't know that I side that Breeze is better than Brady. I think that with having Thomas and the captain as my primary build, that I'm going to play more of Breeze than Brady.
Do you think there's a situation? Do you think there's an outcome on the slate where Thomas is the optimal captain, but Breeze isn't in the flex?
That's really tough.
Let's say Keith. Let's say okay. Let me spell it out. Okay, let's do this. It's a game where the Saints do well. It's a close game. Thomas has a 140 on 10 for 140 and 2 touchdowns. Breeze obviously has thrown those 2 touchdowns, but Latavius Murray has 2 rushing touchdowns, or Kamara has 2. Like Breeze only gets 2 touchdowns, or Thomas only has 1 touchdown. So it's like a 10 for 140 and a touchdown. That's 30 points. He's probably the highest scoring player on the slate. But Breeze is sitting there with 240 passing yards and 1 touchdown. But Brady has 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, but his 3 touchdowns are the 3. Who knows who it goes to? And Brady outscores Breeze, but Thomas outscores all of the receivers by far, and that makes it that we have this uncorrelated wide receiver 1.
It could happen, I suppose. That's why you said it's a really tough slate, and it's because there's so many talented guys that could go for 30 points.
Right. I'm just looking for ways to be different, because I think there will be a lot of Thomas lineups that have Breeze in the flex, because that's the positive correlation. Like we're both saying the same thing. If Thomas is the high scoring player on the slate, Breeze is correlated with that. But like how, like it's positive correlation, but can I gain something in leverage by not playing Breeze and play for an outcome where it's obviously a low scoring game that could happen because typically, the quarterbacks, they're putting up 12 points and you could probably beat that with a lot of players. But I'm just trying. I mean, on this slate, I'm looking for how do I get unique enough? Because I'm building lineups going. That's going to be dupe. That's going to be dupe. That's going to be dupe. And then if you leave, let's say you leave 3,000 on the table, then it's like, well, why am I like? Then I guess Tanner Hudson better score. I mean, like, you get these guys at the low end, and you go, I guess I'm pairing Deontay Harris with the Saints defense and trying to go for the double dip, which I guess you can do. But I think on this slate. Do you think how owned? I mean, I know we have the ownership here, currently projected. Do you think that the defenses and kickers are going to go under owned on this slate?
They are, yeah, because there's so many options that you want to use from the skill players. I mean, just to get in enough lineups with Thomas and with Godwin and with Evans, Kamara, Fournette, Gronkowski. I mean, by the time you rotate all those guys through, it takes you 15, 20 lineups before you even want to play a kicker.
Right, but it could be one of these games where it could 4 field goals and they outscore, probably outscore all the players below them. And then the production could be. I just look at the Buccaneers and go, like, this could be a game where the Buccaneers score 28 to 35 points. And and Brady is optimal, and the receivers, I mean, it could be a lineup where it's a 5-1 Saints even in a Buccaneers win. Because, like, Jones gets a touchdown. Fournette gets a passing touchdown, right? From swing pass. Antonio Brown gets a touchdown. Godwin gets, it's like touchdowns galore. Oprah's going out, giving out touchdowns to everyone. But none of them, but Kamara and Thomas both are sitting there with, 24 points each. And if you're going to play, obviously, a $9,800 and a 11-2 guy in DraftKings, you're not going to be able to afford, Evans, the high priced Bucks guys. You'd rather have Brady he's sitting there with 22 points at quarterback, and you don't even need any of the receivers.
Yeah, so that's why I'm leaning Kamara and Thomas in the captain. And then what I'm going to do on the other side is, and I usually don't do this, is I'm going to play Brady in the captain, so that I know that I get all his touchdowns, and I don't have to try to guess whether it's Godwin or Evans or Gronkowski that catches two. I'm going to play Brady in the captain and just know that I have all his touchdowns.
And in those lineups, I'm assuming you have to play Lat Murray or a kicker or a defense like that. Yeah, as your
that's why
last
I'm saying Murray's
slot.
going to be. Yep. That's why I'm going to be way over the field on Murray too, because my captains are really expensive.
Right, and people in chat are talking about the weather, wet and gusts up to I believe Roth. I'll bring up the Roth. Roth says that it shouldn't matter. You shouldn't concern yourself. I mean, obviously, weather matters to some extent, but how much so? So in Roth's report is okay, he listed as orange, looking like around 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds in Tampa Bay with gusts around 30. Showers are also possible, but doesn't expect the rain to be particularly heavy or long-lived. So, I mean, 20-mile-an-hour winds matter somewhat.
That's pretty significant, yeah.
Right. But
I mean, that's right on the cusp of where it really starts to impact it.
Right, but I always make this point. If people are looking at the weather, that means the ownership of these players start coming down, and then maybe they're at the efficient level because, like whatever weather effect Suckup and Lutz is going to get from their field goal kicking, if let's say this game was played in a dome completely with no weather, maybe Lutz would be. I mean, I'm looking at the ownership right now. Like, we have Lutz at 13%. Like, if it was a dome game, maybe that would have been 20%. I mean, maybe you're going to shave off 30% of his ownership because of the wind, but that's about as much of ineffectiveness of kicking because of the weather. So, I try not to get into these situations where, well, I can't play a kicker because of the wind, and the kicker comes in at 3% owned, and it's like, well, why aren't I playing a 3% owned kicker?
Yeah. What you would typically do in a win game would be lean on the running backs too, but both of these defenses are really good against the run. So I'm not sure that Fournette or Kamara. I mean, Kamara has the passing skills and he can get there multiple ways. So he's different. But Fournette and Jones would typically you'd lean more heavily on them in a weather game. But the Saints have been pretty good against the run, so that's difficult too.
Yeah, but how much has this total been affected? Like, I'm going to bring up uh, what the line. So okay, this has come down 3 points
Okay.
since open. But I mean, where's the actual line move? Okay, it's steadily. Okay,
Yeah, it's coming down.
it's come. Okay, it is coming down a little, by about a point. So okay, so that's one little tip, that if you're looking at like weather reports, like typically the betting lines, if you see like weather and go, oh, this may be a bad weather game, and then the line hasn't moved, like don't worry about the weather. I mean, like
Right.
no one's reacting to it. Not big money's coming in, but yeah, the Buccaneers opened with a 30-point total, and now they're down to 27. The Saints are still at 24, so the spreads come from Buccaneers favored by 5.5 to Buccaneers favored by 3. But I mean, there a lot of analysts say that the Buccaneers probably should be favored more than this.
Yeah, I think the line move is because Thomas is confirmed in. I mean, I think that's where that's coming from. I'm not sure that that's weather related, but the total coming down overall is weather related. But I think the spread moving towards the Saints is Michael Thomas being confirmed in.
Okay, so I mean, so that makes sense. I mean, if you take a look at the full strength Saints and the full strength Bucks, I I'm personally I think it's a field goal game. I mean, on a neutral field, this is a pick 'em because the 3 points represents home field. If
Yep.
it matters that much, especially in this the pandemic going on. But people are in chat. If you want to put up your questions for the last 15 minutes, feel free to shoot them with the QQ if you can, so we can see it better in the chat. But people are taught like the onslaught stacks. Like this is not to me. This is not an onslaught slate of a 5-1.
No, I don't. I think it's going to be a really close game. So you need both sides. I totally agree, and I'll have plenty of 3 threes too. I know 4-2 or 2-4 is the leverage spot, but I will have 3 threes also.
Donnie Watson asks, how unique would both New Orleans running backs with Breeze and no pass catchers? So we're talking about a Breeze, Kamara, Murray lineup. And obviously, like he says in the chat, hope Kamara catches the touchdown.
Yeah, I think it's viable. And we've seen Murray get a dump down or two also. I mean, he doesn't do it nearly as much as Kamara, but it's not out of the question. So, yeah, I think that'll be has a lot better chance to be unique than if you're playing the pass catchers for sure.
Right. So if you had to rank, I know people watch these shows and who's the best captain, right? Who should I put in captain? But if you would learn how to play Showdown, it's more about, or anything at DFS, it's about the lineup as a whole, not just like who's the best captain. Like I said, Latavius Murray could be the
I
best
think,
captain,
yeah,
right? But it doesn't mean he's going to be the highest scorer. But in that lineup construction, that may work. But if you had to rank who in your lineups, who is more likely, like, to give the top 5?
Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara are 1 and 2 for me, just because I think that their volume gives them the best chance to be the highest scorer on the slate. Third is Tom Brady, and I'm going to have a couple of Fournette captains, and then I would say Godwin is my 5th.
Okay, and then my mind kind of goes in a little bit of reverse. For large field contests, I put 1 Michael Thomas, 2 Chris Godwin, 3 Kamara, 4 Latavius Murray, and 5 is who the hell knows? Who knows? To me there is no 5. I think those are the only 4 that I'm going to even be using at captain. If anything, I would use Sanders in a non-Thomas lineup. I would use Traquan in a non-Thomas lineup. I mean, that's the Traquan Smith is captain. Like, no one's doing that. I mean, Barrett, that's a unique build. See, those are the type of lineups, Keith, that I'll play Breeze in. Like that, to me, if
Yeah.
you're gonna play Sanders or Traquan, like Cook or something, like the secondary guys, like I feel like I need Breeze there, because now, like, how do those guys become the top scoring player on the slate? Traquan Smith, 6 for 112 and two touched like Brady. I mean, Breeze is going to have like nearly a 300-yard game because Thomas is going to be sitting there 7 for 90 with no touchdown. He doesn't show up in the optimal, but Traquan is the see. Like I think there's a chance that Thomas could be the captain and Breeze is not in the flex. It it's hard to do, Keith. You know how hard it is to do that, where you're building a lineup, being like, well, I'm putting a wide receiver in the captain. How do I not? Because it's a
Yeah.
positive correlation. How do I not do that? But I think there is for large field. I think I laid out an outcome where that does happen, and it's not like a freaky. It's more of the fact that Breeze goes through Thomas a bunch and just has a 222 touchdown game that Brady vastly outperforms.
Yep. I think I prefer the play Breeze with the running backs rather than fade Breeze. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see your path there.
People are asking about what defense captains. Doesn't seem like a defense captain type of slate.
No, I mean, I'm barely playing defenses, let alone captaining them.
And people are talking about Callaway, Marquez Callaway. Do we have the inactives in? I'm assuming Callaway's in, right? Do we have any new? I know we didn't go over the inactives, but I mean, is there any surprise on any of them? I mean, you're gonna look it up because I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
looking it up right now.
I haven't even seen it because I have a Twitter list, and like I haven't seen because we'd send out if you subscribe on the RG app, which is free, so you could download the app and they'll send you a notification for any important news. So being that I didn't get an RG notification, I don't believe, right? Sanders, Ty Montgomery is inactive.
Yep,
Justin
that's it.
Watson and Keyshawn Vaughn are inactive. So yeah, so the RG notifications did go out. Of course, I had it on silent because we're doing the show. So that means Callaway should be active, but
Yes.
like, how much of a role is Callaway gonna have?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a tough time seeing Sanders and Smith's path to get there, let alone Callaway. I mean, Callaway is just way too far down the list.
I mean, you'd have to. It would be a one broken play. It would be.
Yeah,
It would be
and at
that
his
type of
price
thing.
tag, I mean, it you can get there in one play, one long touchdown, and you're there. But
But I feel on this type of slate when Traquan is 3,400, like
yeah,
I'd rather just play him, right?
yeah,
Like just like
Scotty
I see
Scotty
Trey,
Miller 4,800.
right, or even Scotty, right? Scotty Miller, Jared Cook, Sanders at 5,800. I mean, yes, of course we're gonna say this, and Marquez Callaway goes out and has a 4 for 100 and touchdown.
Yeah,
Playing 6 snaps or something, right? Uh, I mean, even Brait, I see. Like, I think Brait's gonna be more on the field than. I mean, how many people are ahead of Marquez Callaway on the pecking order? 5? I mean, let me count them up. You got Thomas, you got Kamara, you got Sanders, you got Traquan, and you got Jared Cook.
yeah,
So like, and then if he may not even be the 6th. I mean, but that's the best he could be, is the 6th target. Like Cameron Brate, for instance, we got Evans, we got Godwin, got Brown, got Miller, you got Gronk, right? Brate, there you go.
yep.
Fournette out of the backfield. Also, I mean, like he's about the same. Also, I just think that the Bucks run two tight end sets enough that Brate's going to be on the field more than Marquez Callaway gets slot work where everyone's back. Like why? Like at least on the Buccaneers, right? Because let's say Antonio Brown only plays 10 snaps. So then to me, Tyler Johnson has more of a path to get snaps than Marquez Callaway.
Yeah, they're about the same for me. I'd bump Scotty Miller ahead of them two, but I played a ton of Tyler Johnson on the last showdown that the Bucks were on, and that did not work. He ended up getting there late, but it was an entire first half of nothing. I don't even know if he saw the field. So I think Scotty Miller definitely runs ahead of him. Now he's $4,000 more expensive, but I prefer Miller over Johnson for sure.
Right, which I'm trying to find Keith. I'm trying to find angles. It's really tough because it's like,
It is.
well, like there's so limited. I mean, compare this to the Packers 49ers game. The last Like, dude, you could make any lineup. You could literally. I mean, there was so
Yeah.
many options, and you could leave 10,000 on the table, and anything's viable. Here, it's kind of who. How do you get different? So we have some updated ownership projections, I believe. And yeah, Evans is coming down in ownership. So we have the highest projected owned players: Brady at 66%, and then Kamara, Thomas, Breeze, Godwin, Fournette, Evans, Brown at 31%. What do you think, Keith? What do you think Brown's efficient ownership at 7,400 should be? Do you think 31 is too high? Because I think 31 is too high.
I think it's way too high. I'm not playing Antonio Brown in one lineup, so I don't know. If we just have no idea what his, like you said, he could play 10 snaps. We don't know what his role is going to be.
And you're paying 200 less than Chris Godwin.
Exactly.
Right, like that. Like to me, it's that. Like I'm more likely to play. I think if Antonio Brown 31%, Gronkowski 27%, I'd much rather play Gronk.
Yeah, me too. Gronk's role is going to be the same.
Right.
I know what his role is.
And he's a red zone target. So if we go to, I'm going to go to scores and odds, which is part of the Rotogrinders network, to look at the props. Sometimes I like double checking my projections. So like Brady's at a 295 prop, Drew Brees is at a 278 prop, which is fairly high for Brees, right? And then we got rushing. So let's take a look at the rushing props. I'll even bring this up on the screen just so people could see it. Well, it's a little small, but whatever. Let's see. Kamara, we don't even care about his rushing prop, but it's 48.5. Ronald Jones, 48.5. We got Fournette at 34. But these are PPR scores. Latavius Murray at 27. And then at the receiving end, we got Thomas at 62, which to me, I'd bet the over, right? I mean, I think he's going to get more than that. We got Evans at 55. We got Godwin at 53. They're pretty low because it just shows that they're going to spread the ball around. But I also like, if you're looking for like low-owned type of stuff, I like looking at the touchdown props. So if you go to touchdown props, and I don't know if I could sort by team, not on this page. But I'm going to look for, let's see, where can we find it? Well, let's go to DK Sportsbook and see.
I think the most surprising one that you read off there was Jones over Fournette.
Well, for rushing yards, I mean, I think Fournette has more PPR value.
Yeah. I think Fournette is just the lead back now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, seven rushing attempts for Jones last game, and I know he fumbled compared to Fournette's 15. But we'll see.
So I'm bringing up DK Sportsbook. So I like looking at the touchdown lines because sometimes it'll be like, oh, I wouldn't have considered that player, and I'm not saying that these lines are efficient or anything, but sometimes it give you a little insight. So touchdown score. So we have now it moved over. Of course, DK Sportsbook doesn't know how to stay in the same place. So player props. So okay, these are the guys that have over 33% chance, so above plus 200. Kamara minus 125, Evans plus 108, Fournette plus 115. So actually, Fournette has higher touchdown odds than Jones at plus 150.
That's surprising to me too.
But Antonio Brown is plus 150, and Godwin is plus 150. Thomas is plus 150. Gronk is plus 175. Latavius Murray plus 210. Scotty Miller plus 300. Sanders plus 300. Smith plus 400. Then we start getting down to the scrubs. But based on this, Latavius Murray is 2,400, and he has about the same touchdown equity as Gronk, right? Yeah. Jared Cook is 3,000 more expensive. But touchdown equity-wise, Murray has more. But I think it's more interesting that Fournette has higher touchdown odds than Jones does.
Maybe. Yeah, that's surprising.
Well, It's not surprising to you, Keith. You think that
It,
Fournette is the lead back.
yeah, but I think Jones is the goal line back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but we've seen Fournette, right? We've seen him in. I
We've
mean,
seen
we've
him
seen. I
fail
mean,
on the goal line a
right?
lot.
Oh, okay. So we're going back to it's fat net time, right?
Yeah. Jacksonville used to give it to him 3 times down there and he wouldn't get in.
No, but that's interesting. I expected to see them the revert. I expected Rojo to be plus 115, and
Yeah,
Fournette to be plus 150. But
I
of
did too.
Right, but of course, I mean, these are just DK Sportsbook lines. Don't take them as gospel. But if anyone in chat, we got a couple of minutes left, 3 minutes left. If you got the QQs, put them in chat. Hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I think you could even hit the thumbs down, and that helps us also. I think it doesn't. YouTube doesn't know, right? Apparently, what did the Steelers just win? Did they? How did that happen? How the
Wow.
Cowboys looked like whatever, and then the Steelers just like. So do you know? I have no idea. People are saying
I'm
in chat
trying
that
to
the
see.
Steelers won. It doesn't. It's not going to help my lineups. It doesn't. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
mine
why
either.
I'm like I don't even know what's going on in the games. As unless Justin Jackson comes in for a couple of plays and breaks a 150-yard run, like it has to
Right.
be 100. It can't even be a 100-yard run. It has to be a
150 only.
150-yard run. QQ.
24-19 Pittsburgh won.
Ah. QQ, I'm a sicko. This is from Maz Badawi 24. I'm a sicko playing cash on a showdown. Who's the cash game captain?
Yeah, that's
Kamara?
what's his price compared to Thomas? I think it's Thomas.
Think it's Thomas? I could see Brady. I
Yeah,
think
I could see Brady. Yeah,
as a
I
for a
like
cash
that.
game, like you could play Brady and not even play Godwin as in the flex. Like play like I can even probably build that on the screen, but I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say if you play Brady, can you fit Kamara and Thomas in the lineup? Because
well,
that's what I would be trying to do.
let me see if I could do it. Like, can you? Let's see. So in the captain, I'll bring this up on the screen. So if we play Brady and the captain, can we get Thomas, Kamara, and you get 4,300 remaining. So then you could play
Murray.
Latavius Murray.
Yeah,
You got 5,350. You could play Fournette, and
and a kicker.
3,900 is maybe one of the kicker Will Lutz, one of the
He's
kickers.
four. He's 4K.
Right. I could see that. Oh well, no, you're
So you're
still
100 short.
you're
Yeah.
100 short, but I think you could figure this out. Even if you don't play Murray, can you play? Let's see. You can play Traquan Smith. I'm not sure if this is the best lineup, but I mean it's at least doable, right? Let's say instead
Yeah.
of Fournette, you play Gronkowski. So you play Gronkowski, and
There
then
you
you play
go.
Lutz. Like I
Yeah,
could see
that
that,
works.
right? Instead of playing Ronald Jones, you play Gronk. Yeah, you could do something like that. I could see that being a viable cash lineup.
Yeah, Brady, Kamara, and Thomas are the three I would make sure I have for sure. Whatever you need to do to make those three fit is
Right, it would be
the
would
way I'd be
probably be
playing it.
the best to do.
Yeah, and Murray is going to be your key to making them fit for sure.
Mitchell Mayo asks if we could show him any FanDuel, but the main reason we don't do FanDuel is because like it's play Brady in the captain. I mean, play
Yep,
Brady in the MVP. I mean, it's just that you don't have the salary multiplier and you only have 5 spots, so like whoever's projected the best. Obviously, it's going to be obviously more duplicated, but yeah,
yep,
I would think Brady and MVP would. I mean, on FanDuel makes this. It's Keith.
definitely.
It's a less interesting game on FanDuel.
Yeah, for sure. There's not as many decisions to make.
Right. Or if you want to get absolutely nuts, like you can, it's just that your probability of winning like really goes down. Like if you're gonna play Latavius Murray in the MVP on FanDuel, like you're gonna be unique, but your probably your that's gonna be the high score probability goes like drops. At least with
Yeah,
the 1.5x multiplier, it's like, oh, you can play a cheap captain, cheap and not like this. You know what would make this slate even tougher if Latavius Murray was like 5,400.
yeah,
Right now I'm just sitting there going, can anyone beat the Saints defense or Traquan Smith would be more owned. Okay, anything else in the chat before we get out of here? What about playing the Saints defense? I don't think the Saints defense. I mean, I know Keith, you're not playing, but you're not playing the defenses. But you have to admit that there's not many players underneath the Saints defense that could outscore a defense even.
Yeah, and if the weather's getting worse, that may be something I reconsider before lock here, because I mean the wind blows a ball and they throws it and it goes right to somebody for a pick six. Yeah, certainly. And they're cheap.
And you know who's correlated? The Saints defense and
Running back.
Latavius Murray.
Yeah.
So like if you take both of them, as long as no one underneath Murray outscores either of them, like you have a good shot that being that could be up. I mean, the Saints defense putting up 7 points at 3,000. If nothing underneath Murray gets more than like a point or two, like that could be it. Because you would need like a Scotty Miller big game. You would need some of these like mid-level Sanders having a big game. But if it's mostly through the top end, like and people are like top end and then Marcus Callaway, and that's all they could fit in there because they're trying to jam in everyone. Like that's going to lose to 7 points from the Saints or 9 points from Will Lutz or Suck Up or something like that. That's why I think too many people are going to try for these cheap players, and you could get lucky. You're right, you can. I just think I'm much more likely to play Kamara and Lat Murray in the same lineup.
Yep, I don't mind that at all.
Last question, Masbadawi 24. What do you think about putting Godwin in the captain in that lineup? Because then you could get 3 guys. Keith just suggested a kicker and Murray. Yeah, I think that's great. That may look like some of my lineups, right?
Yep, that works.
Okay, so we got what? It's an 8. I never know if it's 8:15 or 8:20. I always you know what I do? I always go into DraftKings, and I go and I look at my upcoming screen just to check before these. It's 8:20 because I don't want it to be 8:15 and then I'm working on my lineups until 8:16. Go to upload it, and then it says no, you can't do it because everything
that
started.
That would be
bad. Has it happened to you? It's happened to me before.
It has, yeah.
Okay,
yep.
So there you go. That's why I have to check. So as usual, I'm looking to be solo first in the $11 luck box, whatever tournament on DraftKings. So hopefully you don't share a lineup of mine. But if I were to share a lineup, if we're going to be duplicated 2 or 3 times, 2, it's me and Keith. 3, it's someone from the chat. So like that's my level of rooting for people. So for Keith, Eyes 819 DFS. If you want to follow him, even though he doesn't tweet, you could do it. You also are at Keith Eister. Is that like you're like serious? Like that's
well, that's like the personal one that I've had forever.
Yeah. Okay, I thought maybe that's like your like Eyes 819 DFS is kind of like, yeah, this is my DFS personality. And Keith Eister is kind of like your LinkedIn profile.
Right. And
then you could follow me at BlenderHead, BlenderHD on Twitter. This has been Sunday Showdown Live here on Rotogrinders.com.